glad to hear that Comrade Gabriela Castillo, representing the Communist Party of Cuba, is here with us. She had sent a video recording earlier, but it's much better to have her with us speak live. So I would like to welcome her, Comrade Gabriela. Please welcome. You may start with a short introduction of yourself and go into the theme, Revolutionary Pan-Africanism Fights in Solidarity with Oppressed People Everywhere as Our Struggle is One. Welcome, Comrade Gabriela Castillo, speaking to us from Washington.
Thank you, comrade. It's an honor to have the possibility of being here today with you and to discuss this very important matter. As you said, I'm currently posted in Washington, D.C. I work in the Embassy of Cuba in the United States in the political office. And my main work at the embassy is to be the responsible for the outreach with the African diaspora and the African American community here in the US. And it is very important for me to speak today here and have the possibility of speaking with you because, as many of you know, my country is going through one of the most intense, difficult moments regarding the bilateral relations with the US. And we are directly suffering more than ever the direct attacks of the imperialism against Cuba. My country has, since the beginning of the revolution in 1959, we have been enduring what we call a blockade that affects every aspect of the daily life of the Cuban people. And right now, that blockade has been increased by an energy siege against Cuba that is currently affecting hospitals, that is currently affecting homes, that is currently affecting every aspect of daily life. So I wanted to refer, I wanted to talk about that. So I would like to be brief in order to respect the time, and because I know there are other panelists. So I'm going to start. So I truly appreciate the chance, as I said, to speak with all of you today as we celebrate African Liberation Day. For Cuba, this date carries deep meaning. As a nation born from Africa, this is a moment for us to proudly celebrate our African roots, roots that live in our blood, in our culture, our traditions, our spirituality, and the very soul of who we are as a nation. But we're not just celebrating where we come from today. We are honoring the struggles we've shared as peoples of the global South. We understand that colonialism, inequality, militarism, and exploitation have always tried to keep our peoples divided and controlled. That's why we know we got to stand together to defend our sovereignty and our right to live free. That's why Cuba stood shoulder to shoulder with our Angolan brothers and sisters in the fight against apartheid back in the 80s and the 90s. That's why, even as a small country with very limited resources, Cuba has spent decades sharing doctors, medicine, and education with African nations and opening the doors of the Latin American School of Medicines to students from across the continent and the diaspora. And I'm not saying this just to brag. This is not the intention of this. I'm saying it because Cuba has always seen this as real love, as a way of giving back to Africa, to our mother, for everything that Africa has given to us. We will always be grateful to our African brothers and sisters and to the diaspora for standing with Cuba firmly, with Cuba, with the Cuban Revolution, with the Cuban people. And believe me, that solidarity matters right now more than ever because Cuba is living through one of the toughest moments in its revolutionary history. The US government has tightened the blockade to extreme levels, trying to show Cuba through an energy siege that puts children, elders, pregnant women, and vulnerable people at risk. On top of that, they are trying to isolate Cuba from the international financial and trade system, block essential resources from reaching our island, and constantly manufacturing excuses to justify a military aggression against Cuba. The latest example is the slander campaign against the leader of the Cuban Revolution, Raul Castro. All of this has created one of the most tense and dangerous moments in the history of relations between Cuba and the United States government. Even in this situation, Cuba still believes in dialogue, dialogue with respect for our sovereignty, We do not want war because we are people of peace. Cuba is known for sharing doctors, for sharing education, for sharing solidarity with the world, not bombs, not aggression, not death. We do not want war because we know what war will mean, the death of Cubans, the death of Americans alike. And we do not want war because we know the people of the United States and the people in the world do not want war with Cuba either. But let nobody mistake our desire for peace for weakness. We are ready to defend our homeland and our sovereignty to the very last drop of blood if necessary. So, in this African Liberation Day, as we honor the mother continent and the sacred right of peoples to sovereignty and self determination, our message is of unity, dignity, and resistance. It's a message that no nation, no matter how small or humble, should be starved, economically strangled, or threatened with military aggression for defending its sovereignty. It's the message that Africa, Latin America, the Caribbean, the diaspora, and all of the people of the global south have a historical duty to walk together against those who try to impose domination, exclusion, and inequality in our peoples. Today, we reaffirm that solidarity between our peoples cannot be blocked, cannot be sanctioned, cannot be broken. We reaffirm that memory of those who fought against colonialism, apartheid, and slavery lives on every time people stand up for justice and self determination. And we reaffirm our belief that a more human world is only possible if every people has the right to decide its own future freely. Cuba will remain loyal to that history and to those principles. We will continue defending peace, cooperation, and brotherhood among our peoples with the same determination with which we defend our independence and our revolution. Thank you very much, and long live Africa and long live the revolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Comrade Gabriela. Thank you for that message of solidarity. And as Africans, we stand with Cuba. We see Cuba as a beacon of hope for resistance against imperialism. We understand the hardship and the struggle you have been waging to resist against US imperialism, which has imposed an unjust blockade since 1959, as you mentioned. But we stand with you in solidarity, comrade, as we celebrate African liberation, which we remember Cuba contributed to by helping Africans in their struggle for independence.